How real are the Jacksonville Jaguars, Chris Long?
The Jags are real. I remember, Rich, feeling stupid all October because when you asked me point blank and I had no time to think about it, I think it was in September, who's going to win this division? I think I said the Jags. And they're game out now. I think Trevor's development has been awesome. And I think it's just two things. It's amazing that Urban Meyer hid him so well. Like, I have no idea how they hid this talent, how they, kind of, darkened his light. And this year, the polar opposite situation happens in Doug Pederson, who's really good at developing talent, working with quarterbacks. I've said this before when we were in Philly and Carson was having his MVP season. Carson throws really well off spot. Carson threw really well on the run and made things happen outside the pocket when the play broke down. And, they do design stuff to get him out of the pocket because he is such a good thrower on the run, Trevor is. And what I thought was so impressive about him is he threw that pick this weekend, and they're down, I think, 27-10 or whatever it is, and he comes right back and delivers that strike. And they just go on a run. And I think being at home, the tide changed, and it was just too much water for the Cowboys. And I really like the Jags. So are they for real? Yeah, I think they are for real, and teams don't necessarily want to play them. It's proved out that Christian Kirk, and we all made a lot of jokes about the way he drove the market up,
right?
Is a legitimate, elite receiver. And, they've killed the intermediate game, the short game. But they've also shown that they got a quarterback who, when you get behind somebody, he can get you the ball. So I really do think the Jags are scary. If they slid in, they're a tough little out, man. And they're a year ahead, too. But I do want to say this about that game. It was not Dak Prescott's fault. He threw one bad pick earlier in the game, but when he had a chance to drive them down and go for the win in crunch time, he did that. I mean, that I think was a third down, where Walker barrels in there and he just kind of spins off him and rolls out and throws that touchdown. It was a really great play by Dak.
No, I'm with you, Chris. And if I had to point at a couple things, it's the play call from Kellen Moore on third down when the Jaguars are out of timeouts. There's a minute and change to go in the game, and they called a very tough to complete beyond the sticks type throw as opposed to give Pollard or Lamb the football maybe short of the sticks, an opportunity to be in space and make that first down short of the sticks, because at least if you complete it, you get a shot at getting to the sticks, and if you don't, the clock's rolling. And instead,
I'm absolutely with you. I mean, that was a point that I made as well this week, and I mean, a couple things in that sequence because they absolutely needed that timeout. With 17 seconds left, Ingram, who might make the play of the game, like Ingram caught the ball between the hashes and the numbers.
Got out of bounds.
And, by my calculations, he's running – I mean, this guy's running 60 feet with somebody hanging on his back trying to get out of bounds, and does it in heroic fashion. And they need that timeout because then they set up the field goal, take timeout, and they go to overtime, and they're able to win this thing. So the pick wasn't on Dak at the end of the game there. And, the Cowboys will be fine. They're a dangerous team, but so are the Jags. And if they can find a way to slide in, and if you look at, if you hear Kevin Byard's comments after the Titans game, I've been on these teams. I've been on teams that are kind of middling, and that feels like a team that just can't quite get out of its own way. They're not quite as talented as we thought they might be in Titans. And there's a lot of frustration there. It just feels like these two teams are two ships passing in the night. And the Jags have a real chance to finish the season strong and possibly win that division.
Yeah, the other thing about my concern about the Cowboys, too, is the pass rush seems to have disappeared the last 2 weeks. It just they're not getting pressure. I mean, both Davis Mills and Jeff Driscoll had their way the week before, and Trevor Lawrence obviously is playing elite, but he wasn't pressured nearly as much as he needed to be. And That's a concern of mine right now for Dallas.
Well, the
moving on
difference
here
between Dallas and Philly, at least one of the differences. Well, I pointed this out before. I think the quarterback has played at a higher level this year in Philly, and I also think that, or at least more consistently, and I also think that the D line's deeper. The depth of the D line. Micah Parsons might be the best player up front on the field. If those two teams played, he's the best. He's the lead dog. There's very few like him in the league. In fact, it's him and only a couple guys at the top. But you can't do everything alone. And I'm not saying they don't have other good, exciting players. I love Tank, the Williams kid. They've got some nice players, but the Eagles they're 10 deep, and they just roll bodies in and go. And so in a game like that, at the end of the game, when you need to win rushes, and you've been out there a while in the second half, and it feels like this team has just jumped you, you need to win a rush. And you're right. I mean, that defense, that wasn't their best day.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.